The bullet wasn't meant for her. Tammy was just delivering food when she got shot in a glittering Korean nightclub. The man she accidentally saved. A ruthless Korean Mafia kingpin who now swears she's in mortal peril. Rival syndicates see her as his Achilles heel. So, he's hiding her in his fortified penthouse until he can crush the threats. But what happens when the real battle is for her heart? He pledges to shield, cherish, and dismantle empires for her. Before we dive in, my friends, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. It's the best way to show your support as I bring you gripping tales of fate, love, and redemption every day. Let's build this community together. Tammy Johnson was having the worst night of her life, and it was barely midnight. Her scooter had broken down last month, her rent was overdue again, and her phone was one missed payment from getting cut off. Now, on her final delivery of a grueling 14-hour shift, some upscale Korean nightclub in the heart of Seoul was claiming they never got their order of bulgogi and kimchi jjigae. I'm telling you, I dropped it at VIP Suite 4C, just like the app said, Tammy argued into her phone, her Jamaican accent cutting through the frustration. Standing outside the Neon Lotus, a sleek spot with tinted windows and bouncers who looked like they could snap necks for fun. The customer says it never arrived, her boss snapped back. You gotta fix this, Tammy. I can't afford complaints. Fix it? Marcus, I'm at 2 warnings already. 1 more, and I'm out on the street. Then you better sort it. The call ended with a click. Tammy glared at the nightclub. Her rusty delivery scooter was parked nearby, chained to a lamppost. She'd delivered here before odd orders, always fat cash tips that made her wonder but never ask. She'd just march in, track down the order, and prove her GPS trail led to Suite 4C. Easy fix. Tammy pushed through the heavy doors into a haze of luxury and bass-thumping music. The place was all velvet booths, glowing neon, and private rooms veiled by silk screens. A hostess in a form-fitting red dress glanced up, her smile polished but icy. Sorry, we're hosting a private event tonight. I delivered food here an hour ago, Tommy shot back, not backing down. I need to talk to whoever placed the order. My job's hanging by a thread. The hostess's face tightened. I'm not sure. Suite 4C, Tammy insisted, pulling out her phone. Someone here ordered 50,000 won worth of food, and now they're saying it vanished. I got proof right here. Before the hostess could reply, a side door swung open. A man emerged, Korean, early 30 seconds, in a tailored black suit that screamed power and danger. He moved like he owned the shadows, and when he spoke, the hostess froze. What's going on? His voice was calm, accented English carrying an edge like a hidden blade. This delivery woman says she brought an order to Suite 4C, the hostess explained, fidgeting. The man's eyes, dark, piercing, unreadable, locked on Tammy. We don't have a Suite 4C. That's what my app says. Look. Tammy thrust her phone forward, her hands steady despite the nerves. She couldn't lose this gig, not now. I delivered it, knocked. Someone cracked the door, took the bag, slipped me a 10,000 won tip in cash. Done deal. Something flickered in the man's face. Describe them. I didn't see much, she admitted. Door opened a sliver, hand grabbed the food. Cash came out, door shut. He whipped out his phone, typed furiously, then nodded to someone behind Tammy. She turned. 3 suited men had materialized, blocking the exits like ghosts. Her pulse raced. Hey, I just want to keep my job. If it wasn't you, fine, I'll cover the cost myself. Just don't flag me. You need to go. Now. His tone turned steel. Forget you were ever here. I can't just... No. The word was final, like a door slamming. Tammy backed out, the hostess already ushering her through the doors. As she fumbled with her scooter's chain, she heard him snap orders in Korean, urgent and sharp. What kind of mess had she stumbled into? She was strapping on her helmet when it happened. A crack like thunder once, twice. Not fireworks. Gunshots. Tammy's instincts screamed. She dropped low behind her scooter as a third shot shattered the nightclub's window right where she'd stood. Glass rained down, screams erupted inside, and a searing pain tore through her side. She'd been hit. Blood soaked her jacket, warm and sticky. Her vision swam. She tried to run, but her legs buckled. The doors burst open. The suited man appeared, pistol drawn, scanning the chaos with lethal precision. His gaze landed on Tommy, slumped and bleeding. Get her to safety, he barked. 2 men hoisted her up, dragging her through the haze of smoke and broken glass into the nightclub. She wanted to fight, to scream, but the agony drowned everything. They laid her on a booth table as the man knelt beside her, pressing a cloth to her wound. Who are you with? He demanded, his face close, eyes wild with something raw. "Who sent you?" "I'm just a delivery driver." Tammy gasped, pain lancing through her. "Delivery drivers don't take bullets." He snarled something in Korean. A man showed him a phone, and his expression shifted shock, then grim understanding. He looked back at her. "You weren't the target." "What?" She blinked, fading. "The sniper was aiming for me." "You bent down at the exact moment. Your body blocked the shot that would have hit my chest." Tammy's mind reeled. "You're saying I got shot, instead of you? You saved my life by pure chance." He glanced at his men. "Get the car. We're taking her to my private dock. No hospitals." Tammy clutched at consciousness. "I can't afford." "No insurance." "Not a hospital," he replied, his voice softening just a fraction. "My people. You're not dying on my watch, not after this." "Who are you?" He met her eyes, intense and unyielding. "Someone whose world just collided with yours." Darkness claimed her. Hours later, Tommy stirred in a penthouse that screamed opulence, towering windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline, plush furniture, and security like a fortress. Her side was bandaged, her arm supported, and she wore soft clothes that weren't hers, silk that felt like a stranger's skin. The door opened. The man from the nightclub entered, now in a crisp shirt and slacks that only amplified his dangerous aura. He sat nearby, those piercing eyes assessing her. "You're up. Good. Feels like I got shot," she bit out, wincing. "Which I did, because of you. That was because someone tried to end me, and you got caught in the crossfire." He paused. "My name is Jinwoo Baek, and you need to hear this straight. You're in real danger now." She blinked hard. "I didn't see nothing. I don't know nothing. Let me walk." "It doesn't work like that." He leaned in. "The ones who fired triads. My rivals saw my men pull you in. They think you're tied to me now, which makes you a target. Leverage to break me." Tammy's stomach twisted. "Tied to you? You're some kind of Mafia boss?" Jin's smile was cold, fleeting. "You really had no idea? The Neon Lotus is my front. I control Seoul's shadows, deals, protection, the works." "Oh God," her world spun. "They see you as my weakness, my woman, my secret, valuable, and that means dead if they snag you." Tears pricked her eyes. "This is madness. I got a life, a job. Your job thinks you quit. I had it handled this morning, rents covered for months." He stood. "For now, this is your life. I'm sorry, but it's safer here. You can't just cage me. I'm protecting you. Big difference." He studied her a beat longer. "That bullet was a pro-hit sniper round. 1 inch over, and you're gone. These people don't care about innocence. I need to go home. That's the one thing I can't allow. Not yet." He left, the door locking with a soft click. Tammy sat in that lavish trap, wondering how a simple food drop had yanked her into a whirlwind of power, peril, and an undeniable pull toward the man whose life she'd saved. Over the next few days, as she healed in the penthouse's gilded confines, Tammy's world shrank to the size of 4 walls that screamed wealth but whispered captivity. She woke to the soft hum of air conditioning and the faint scent of antiseptic mixed with something floral, jasmine, maybe. Her side throbbed, a dull fire where the bullet had grazed her, but it was bandaged neatly, professionally. No hospital beeps, no sterile white lights. Instead, floor-to-ceiling windows framed Seoul's sprawling skyline, twinkling like a distant promise she couldn't reach. Tammy bolted upright, wincing as pain shot through her ribs. Where the hell was she? A quick scan. King-sized bed with silk sheets, a sleek ensuite bathroom visible through an open door, and a living area beyond that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Minimalist furniture, abstract art on the walls, a bar stocked with bottles she couldn't pronounce. But no phone, no keys, and when she swung her legs off the bed, the door to the hallway was locked from the outside. Panic clawed up her throat. This wasn't a hospital. This was a cage, no matter how pretty. "Hello?" she called, her voice echoing off the marble floors. Footsteps approached, and the door clicked open. A stern-faced Korean man in a black suit entered, followed by a woman in scrubs carrying a medical kit. The man didn't smile. "Miss Johnson, you're awake. Good. Dr. Lee will check your wound." Tammy pulled the sheets up like a shield. "Who are you? Where am I?" The guard, because that's what he had to be, stood rigid. "You're in Mr. Baek's penthouse. For your safety. No leaving without permission." "Permission? This is kidnapping." She glanced around for anything, a lamp, a vase to use as a weapon. But everything was bolted down or out of reach. Dr. Lee, a no-nonsense woman in her 40 approached calmly. The bullet nicked your side clean wound, no organs hit. You've been out for about 12 hours. Antibiotics and rest? You'll be fine in a week. She unwrapped the bandage efficiently, ignoring Tammy's protests. Mr. Bake insisted on the best care. No hospital's too risky. Risky? Lady, I need to get out of here. I have a life. The doctor met her eyes, sympathetic but firm. In this world, lives change fast. Eat something. Build your strength. She finished redressing the wound and left, the guard locking the door behind them. Tommy paced, her mind racing. Jinwoo Baek, that name from the chaos, the man with the piercing eyes. Mafia boss. The words sank in like lead. She'd heard whispers about Seoul's underworld, the syndicates pulling strings in the shadows, but that was for movies, not delivery girls scraping by on tips. Her phone gone, her scooter probably still chained outside that cursed nightclub. And her family back in Jamaica? They'd think she'd vanished. Tears stung, but she blinked them back. No time for that. She was Tommy Johnson, survivor of Kingston streets, and now this. She'd find a way out. Hours blurred into a routine of isolation. Meals arrived on silver trays, gourmet stuff like bibimbap with fresh herbs, Jamaican-inspired jerk chicken one night. How did they know? An endless tea, but always delivered by silent guards who watched her like hawks. Cameras blinked in the corners, red lights winking. Surveillance, 24/7. She tried the windows sealed shut. Bulletproof glass. The balcony door? Locked. It was luxury. Sure, designer clothes in the closet that fit her curves perfectly. A TV with every channel, even books in English about far-off places. But it felt suffocating, like drowning in gold. On the second day, he appeared. Jinwoo actually knocked before entering, carrying a tray himself. He was out of the suit now, in a simple black shirt and pants that hugged his tattooed frame. The ink peeking from his collar like secrets. The same man who'd cradled her amid the shattered glass, his face a mask of shock and urgency. Now, he looked composed, but there was a weariness in his eyes. "How's the wound?" he asked, setting the tray down. "Fresh fruit, coffee strong, like she preferred." Tammy stood her ground, arms crossed. "Hurts like hell. But that's not the point. You can't keep me here, Jinwoo. Or whatever your name is." "Jinwoo Baek," he confirmed, his voice low and steady. "And I can, for now. The triads are hunting. They think you're mine, my weakness. Leaving would be suicide." "Yours? I don't even know you." She gestured wildly at the room. "This penthouse, it's a prison. Guards everywhere, cameras watching me sleep. I want my phone. I want out." He sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose, a human gesture that caught her off guard. "Your phone's secure. Calls could be traced. As for out," he met her gaze, those dark eyes holding a storm. "I owe you my life, Tammy. That bullet was meant for me. You stepped in fate's path. Let me repay it by keeping you alive." She scoffed, but something in his tone, regret, maybe made her pause. "Repay? By locking me up like some trophy?" "Not a trophy." He sat on the edge of the bed, uninvited but not aggressive. "A responsibility. In my world, debts like this, they bind you." For the first time, cracks showed in his armor. He glanced at the city lights beyond the window, his jaw tightening. "I've lost people before, betrayals that cut deep. My brother gone because I trusted the wrong ally. I won't add you to that list." Tommy stared. This wasn't the cold kingpin she'd imagined. There was weight there, a haunted edge to his words. "So what? You're not the monster everyone says?" A faint, bitter smile. "Oh, I'm a monster. Built an empire on blood and deals. But even monsters have codes. You saved me without knowing. That means something." As days stretched into a week, the penthouse's opulence wore thin, but Jinwoo's visits became a strange anchor. He'd check in evenings, sometimes with small gifts, a Jamaican novel he'd sourced, or spices for the kitchen staff to mimic her home cooking. Conversations started stiff, her demanding freedom, him explaining threats, but they softened. One night over shared tea on the balcony, guards discreetly nearby, he opened up more. "You think this life's all power?" he said, staring at the horizon. "It's a cage too. Every decision weighs on you. One wrong move, and empires crumble. I've buried friends, watched loyalties shatter. Betrayal. It hardens you." Tommy sipped her tea, the city lights blurring in her vision. Sounds lonely. Back home in Jamaica, family keeps you grounded. Even when life's tough, you fight together. He nodded, a rare vulnerability flickering. I had that once. Lost it to this world. Now, it's just survival. His hand brushed hers accidentally, sending a spark she ignored or tried to. But in his eyes, she saw the man beneath. Regretful, burdened, not unbreakable. By the week's end, terror still gripped her during quiet moments, the surveillance a constant reminder of her lost freedom. But Jinwoo wasn't just a captor anymore. He was enigma dangerous. Yes, but haunted by ghosts of betrayal and loss. As she lay in bed one night, the penthouse silent except for the distant hum of the city, Tammy wondered if this storm would destroy her. Or remake her. Little did she know, the threats were closing in faster than either of them realized. Little did she know, the threats were closing in faster than either of them realized. But in those tense days of recovery, Tommy began to peel back the layers of the man who held her fate in his hands. It started small, in the quiet rhythms of the penthouse. Jinwoo's visits grew more frequent, not as a jailer checking on his prisoner, but as something almost attentive. One afternoon, as Tammy tested her mobility by pacing the living room, her wound now a manageable ache, he appeared with a small box. For you, he said simply, placing it on the coffee table. Inside, a set of sketching pencils and a notebook, the kind she'd mentioned missing in an offhand complaint about boredom. You remembered? She asked, surprise cutting through her wariness. He shrugged, leaning against the doorframe with that effortless poise. You said drawing helps you think. In my line of work, details matter. His tone was matter of fact, but there was respect in it, no mockery, no dismissal. It was strange. This consideration from a man whose world was built on brutality. She'd overheard snippets from the guards, whispers of violent deals, rivals crushed without mercy. Yet here he was, treating her like a guest, not a liability. As her strength returned, Tammy pressed for answers. Tell me about this empire of yours, she said one evening, as they sat on the balcony overlooking the neon-veined city. The guards lingered at a distance, ever-present shadows. What makes a guy like you tick? Jinwoo stared at the horizon, his tattooed neck catching the fading light ink that told stories of battles won and losses etched in skin. It's not glamorous, he replied, his voice steady but laced with something deeper. I control the flow money laundering through clubs like the Neon Lotus, weapons trade to keep the balance. Soul's underbelly runs on power, and I've held it for years. Discipline keeps it that way. No loose ends, no weaknesses. But you're not what I expected, Tammy admitted, her Jamaican lilt softening the edge. I thought Mafia bosses were all snarling thugs. Not this. She gestured to him the serious set of his jaw, the way he listened without interrupting. A faint smile tugged at his lips, rare and fleeting. Monsters come in suits too. But I wasn't born this way. Started as a street kid, fighting for scraps. Built this from nothing. But it costs. He paused, his eyes distant. Isolation. Mostly. Trust no one fully. I've seen allies turn for a better deal. Watched my own blood pay the price. Tommy felt a pull, against her better judgment. Here was a man who commanded fear, yet in these moments, he let the mask slip. Vulnerability peeked through, like when he described losing his mentor to a betrayal, his voice dropping to a gravelly whisper. The weight. It crushes you sometimes. Every choice affects lives. One wrong move, and it's all gone. His hand clenched the railing, knuckles white, and for a second, he wasn't the untouchable kingpin. He was just a man, burdened by an empire that demanded everything. She found herself drawn in, questioning the lines she'd drawn, captor or protector. The way he ensured her meals included familiar flavors, plantains one day, ackee the next, felt like care, not control. And in quiet talks, she'd share bits of her life. The vibrant chaos of Kingston markets, the family she'd left behind to chase stability in soul. He'd listen, nodding, his intensity softening into something almost warm. You fight like I do, he'd say. Resilient. It's why you're still here. But the attraction terrified her. This wasn't some fairy tale. He was danger incarnate. Still, in stolen glances, his protective stance, the way his eyes lingered on her with unspoken concern, she felt the boundaries blur. Was it Stockholm Syndrome? Or something real? The spark when their hands brushed during a shared meal. The way her heart raced not just from fear, but from the enigma of him. As Tammy's wound healed to a scar, the outside world intruded like a gathering storm. It began with hushed calls Jinwoo took in the hallway, his voice sharpening into commands. One night, he returned tense, slamming the door harder than usual. "The triads," he said, pouring himself a drink with steady hands that belied his fury. "They're pushing harder. Intercepted a shipment my weapons route. Lost 2 men. Tammy sat up from the couch, alarm prickling her skin. "Because of me?" He shook his head, but his eyes said otherwise. "They smell blood." That night at the club wasn't random. Cheney, their leader, wants my territory. And now, with you here. He trailed off, setting the glass down. "They think you're leverage. Whispers say they're scouting the building, probing for weaknesses." Her stomach nodded. The penthouse, once a cage, now felt like a fragile shield. "So I'm not just stuck, I'm a target? All because I bent down at the wrong damn time?" Jinwoo crossed to her, his presence commanding yet gentle as he knelt to her level. "Fate put you there, Tammy. Saved me. But yes, it painted a bullseye on you. They're closing in bribes to my contacts, shadows tailing my operations. If they get to you, they break me." She searched his face, seeing the isolation he'd confessed to, amplified by this siege. "And you? This empire, it's everything to you." "Not everything," he murmured, his voice low. "Not anymore." The air thickened, charged with unspoken tension. Tammy's breath caught. She was drawn to him, this disciplined enigma who treated her with respect amid brutality. But as alarms blared faintly from the security system downstairs, another probe, another close call, she realized the truth. Her life hung in the balance, all because she'd been in the wrong place at the wrong time. The triad's grip tightened, and with it, the fragile bond between captor and protector teetered on the edge of something deeper, more dangerous. The triad's grip tightened, and with it, the fragile bond between captor and protector teetered on the edge of something deeper, more dangerous. But as shadows lengthened over the penthouse, Tommy learned just how precarious her position had become. It hit like a storm the next morning. Jinwoo burst into her room before dawn, his face a mask of controlled fury, phone clutched in his hand. "Get up," he ordered, tossing her a robe. "We have a problem." Tammy rubbed sleep from her eyes, heart pounding. "What now? Another probe?" "Worse." He showed her the screen, a grainy photo, time-stamped hours ago. It was her, crumpled on the nightclub street, blood staining her side, with Jinwoo kneeling over her amid the shattered glass and smoke. Below it, a message in stark Korean characters, translated beneath. "The Jamaican is your weak link. Hand her over, or we take her." Her blood ran cold. "The triads?" He nodded, pocketing the phone. "They've confirmed it. Cheney got this from a mole, probably paid off one of my outer guards. They know your name, your background. Believe you're my confidant, or more." His jaw clenched. "You're not just collateral anymore. You're the prize. Capture you, and they force my hand surrender territory or watch you die." Tammy backed against the headboard, the luxurious sheets suddenly feeling like chains. "Prize? I'm not some damn trophy in your gang war." "You're not," he said, his voice steady but edged with something raw. "But to them, you are. They've already tried once, drones scouting the building last night. My men shot one down. It's escalating." The reality crashed over her like a wave. What started as a fluke bullet had thrust her into a deadly chess game between Mafia titans. The triads, ruthless and unrelenting, saw her as the key to toppling Jinwoo's empire. No more whispers, now direct threats, shadows creeping closer. She imagined them faceless hunters in Seoul's underbelly plotting her abduction, willing to burn everything to claim their leverage. Confinement, once a nagging frustration, became suffocating. The penthouse's opulence mocked her endless views of a city she couldn't touch, guards patrolling like silent sentinels. By midday, Tommy couldn't take it. She waited until a meal delivery, then bolted for the door as the guard turned. "Hey!" he shouted, but she was already in the hallway, racing toward what looked like an elevator. Freedom, almost. Her fingers jammed the button, but strong arms yanked her back. "Miss Johnson, no!" Another guard appeared, blocking her path. She fought, elbows flying, her rebellious fire igniting. "Let me go! I can't stay locked up like this." Jinwoo arrived moments later, dismissing the guards with a sharp nod. He gripped her arms gently but firmly, steering her back inside. "What the hell were you thinking?" "Thinking? I'm done thinking." Tammy wrenched free, her eyes blazing. "This place is a tomb. I need air, my life, anything but these walls. You say it's protection, but it feels like a sentence." His expression hardened, but concern flickered beneath. "And out there? The triads have eyes everywhere. One step outside, and you're gone, snatched, used against me. You're safer here with me. Safer? She laughed bitterly, pacing like a caged lioness. You mean controlled? I'm not some fragile thing, Jinwoo. Back home I fought my way through worse than this. Let me go, and I'll disappear. New name, new city. He stepped closer, his protective instincts clashing with her defiance. You think it's that easy? Chini's network spans continents. They'd find you. I've seen it, people I cared for, torn apart because I couldn't shield them. His voice dropped, tense with unspoken pain. I won't let that happen to you. The air crackled between them, her fiery spirit slamming against his unyielding wall. You won't let? Who made you my keeper? I saved your life, not signed it away. And I owe you for that, he countered, his dark eyes locking on hers. But owing means protecting, even from yourself. The words hung heavy, their dynamic electric, her rebellion sparking against his resolve, creating friction that felt dangerously close to heat. But as days blurred, the danger escalated, proving him right in brutal strokes. A package arrived at the building's lobby, intercepted by security, containing a single bullet engraved with her initials. Then, a cyber breach. Hackers probing the penthouse's systems, forcing a lockdown that trapped even Jinwoo inside for hours. Whispers from his men confirmed it. The triads were mobilizing, street teams scouting entry points, bribes flowing to weaken his defenses. Tammy's attempts at escape grew desperate but futile. One night, she tried jimmying a window panel, only for alarms to blare and Jinwoo to storm in, pulling her back from the edge. Stop this, he pleaded, his hands on her shoulders, warm and steady. They're closing in. Last night, they hit one of my safe houses, killed 3. If they get you. She shoved him away, but the fight drained from her as reality sank in. The triads wouldn't stop. She was their golden ticket to Jinwoo's downfall. Her life, once simple deliveries and scraped-together dreams, now dangled by a thread in this deadly game. Alone, she'd be prey. With him, a chance. In the dim light of that confrontation, Tammy met his gaze, seeing not just the Mafia king, but the man who'd shown her kindness amid chaos. Her heart twisted. Survival depended on him, yes, but so did something deeper, a pull she couldn't deny. As sirens wailed faintly from the city below, another clash in the shadows, she realized the line between captor and savior had blurred, and her fate, perhaps even her heart, now rested in his hands. As sirens wailed faintly from the city below, another clash in the shadows, she realized the line between captor and savior had blurred, and her fate, perhaps even her heart, now rested in his hands. But in the depths of that realization, something ignited in Tommy, a fire she'd carried from the tough streets of Jamaica, long buried under fear and confinement. She wasn't built to be a victim. She was a survivor, and it was time to reclaim that. The triad's escalation came swift and merciless, like a noose tightening around the penthouse. It started with a breach that shook even Jinwoo's ironclad security. Early one morning, as Tammy sketched idly in her notebook, trying to capture the chaotic beauty of Seoul's skyline from her gilded prison, an explosion rocked the building's lower levels. Alarms blared, guards shouted in frantic Korean, and Jinwoo burst into her room, gun drawn, his face etched with rare alarm. "Stay down," he commanded, pulling her behind a reinforced wall. Smoke seeped under the door, acrid and choking. Through the chaos, his phone buzzed with updates. A car bomb at the garage entrance, triad operatives claiming responsibility. No casualties among his core team. But the message was clear, a taunt scrawled on the wreckage. The woman or your empire. Tommy's pulse thundered, but amid the fear, anger surged. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was a war using her as ammunition. Chini's forces had ramped up, deploying hit squads to probe every weak point, bribing insiders for floor plans, even hacking surveillance feeds to broadcast grainy images of her inside the penthouse. They were turning her into leverage, a tool to dismantle Jinwoo piece by piece. Whispers from the guards confirmed it. Raids on his warehouses, allies flipping under pressure, the noose closing. She was the linchpin, the Jamaican weakness they could exploit to force his surrender. Lying low as the dust settled, Tammy felt the shift inside her. No more cowering in luxury while men decided her fate. She'd survived poverty in Kingston, hustled through Seoul's unforgiving grind as a delivery girl, dodging creeps and dead-end shifts. That bullet? It hadn't broken her, it had awakened her. She wasn't the scared woman who'd collapsed in a pool of blood. She was a force, resilient and unyielding. Passive observer? No. It was time to play the game on her terms. That evening, as Jinwoo coordinated countermeasures in the penthouse's command room, a sleek space filled with monitors and armed lieutenants, Tammy marched in unannounced. The room fell silent, hardened men staring at the outsider in their midst. Jinwoo looked up from a map, surprise flickering in his dark eyes. "Tammy? This isn't safe." "Safe?" She cut him off, her voice steady, laced with the fiery determination that had carried her across oceans. "Nothing about this is safe. The triads are using me to get to you, turning me into bait without my say." "Well, fine. Let's make it official." He straightened, tension rippling through the room. "What are you talking about?" "I'll be the bait." The words hung in the air, shocking even her a little, but she pressed on. "Set a trap. Leak that you're moving me some vulnerable transfer. Let them come for me. When they do, you hit them hard. End this." Murmurs erupted from the lieutenants, disbelief etched on their faces. One barked in Korean, shaking his head, clearly dismissing the idea as madness. Jinwoo silenced them with a raised hand, his gaze locked on her. "You're serious." "Dead serious." Tommy stepped closer, her eyes fierce. "I'm done hiding, Jinwoo. Done letting you fight my battles while I rot in this cage. Back home, you don't wait for trouble, you meet it head on. I've changed. That night at the club, it didn't just save you, it woke me up. I'm not a pawn anymore. I'm a player." He studied her, the weight of his empire in his expression, but something shifted, respect, perhaps, mingled with fear. "This is dangerous. Chini's no fool. If it goes wrong, I'm dead anyway," she countered, her voice unwavering. "They're escalating bombs today. What tomorrow? I won't sit back and be used. Trust me with this. Let me stand beside you, not behind." The room tensed, the lieutenants exchanging uneasy glances. Jinwoo rubbed his jaw, the tattoos on his neck flexing with the motion, a reminder of the brutal world he navigated. He'd always been the protector, the one bearing the burdens alone, hardened by betrayals that left him isolated. Trust didn't come easy, but as he looked at her, the woman who'd taken a bullet for him by fate, now offering to risk everything again, cracks formed in his resolve. "You're not trained for this," he said finally, his tone a mix of protest and admiration. Your men follow you," she interrupted. "But this is my life too. I've survived more than you know streets that chew up the weak. I can do this. Fake a transfer to a safe house. I'll wear a tracker, play the scared captive. When they bite, you close the trap." He paced, the plan taking shape in his mind despite himself. It was bold, reckless even, but clever, using their perception of her as weakness against them. Forcing him to trust her meant sharing the danger, blurring the lines further. "If we do this," he said at last, stopping inches from her, "it's on my terms. Vests, backups, no heroics. And if it smells wrong, we abort. Deal?" Tammy met his gaze, a spark passing between them, not just alliance, but something deeper, a partnership forged in fire. The lieutenants nodded reluctantly, one sketching out logistics on a tablet. As details emerged, a deserted warehouse on the city's edge, decoy vehicles, sniper overwatch. Tommy felt the transformation complete. No longer the passive delivery girl, trembling in the aftermath of a stray bullet. She was empowered, an active force in this underworld storm, refusing to let Jinwoo shoulder it alone. He pulled her aside as the meeting wrapped, his hand lingering on her arm. "This shocks me, Tammy. You're braver than half my men." "About time you noticed," she replied, a half-smile breaking through. But beneath it, resolve burned. She was ready to face the danger head-on, standing beside him not as a protected asset, but as an equal. The trap was set, and with it, her rebirth. Little did they know, the triads were already moving, hungry for the bait she'd become. Little did they know, the triads were already moving, hungry for the bait she'd become. But as the plan crystallized in the penthouse's tense war room, Tammy's bold gamble began to take shape, pulling her deeper into the shadows she'd once feared. Over the next 48 hours, details fell into place like pieces of a deadly puzzle. Jinwoo's lieutenants mapped it out. A leaked transfer of Tommy to a secondary safe house on Seoul's industrial outskirts, a route deliberately vulnerable, whispered through compromised channels to ensure Chini's spies bit. She'd ride in a decoy van, wired with trackers and hidden mics, playing the role of frightened captive. The destination, a deserted warehouse in an abandoned factory district, its cavernous halls rigged with Jinwoo's men in the rafters, sniper nests, and crucially undercover law enforcement contacts he'd reluctantly looped in. "One chance to end this," Jinwoo had said, marking the blueprint. Capture Cheney alive, dismantle his network. Tammy nodded, adrenaline humming in her veins. This was her idea. Her stand no longer the sideline survivor, but the linchpin. Yet as preparations ramped up, tension with Jinwoo simmered to a boil. It erupted that night in the penthouse's dimly lit study, maps and weapons strewn across the table. She was fitting a bulletproof vest under her jacket when he cornered her, his eyes stormy. "This is insane, Tommy," he growled, grabbing her arm not roughly, but with a desperation that betrayed his fear. "You're not one of us. Let my men handle the bait role." "A double someone trained." She yanked free, her gaze fierce. "Trained? For what getting shot at? I've already done that, remember? This is my plan, Jinwoo. My risk. If I don't do this, I'm just waiting for them to come. No more hiding." He paced, his tattooed frame taut with frustration, the weight of his empire clashing against this newfound vulnerability. "You think I don't see the danger? Cheney's ruthless, he'll kill without blinking. I've lost too much already. If something happens to you." His voice cracked, raw emotion slipping through the cracks of his controlled facade. "I can't watch that. You're not just leverage anymore. You're more." The admission hung between them, charged and unspoken. Tammy's heart twisted the pull she'd felt, the blurred lines of their bond, now laid bare. But her resolve held. "Then trust me. See me the woman I've become, not the scared girl from the club. I've faced unimaginable shit and come out stronger. Let me stand with you, not behind you." He stopped, inches away, his dark eyes searching hers. Reluctance warred with admiration. He saw it now, the fire in her, forged from trauma into unyielding strength. The Jamaican survivor who'd taken a bullet by fate, transformed into a force ready to wield it back. "Damn it," he muttered, pulling her into a brief, intense embrace. "Fine. But you follow the script. No deviations. And if it goes south, you run." "Deal," she whispered, the moment electric, their connection deepening amid the peril. He finally relented, seeing not weakness, but the empowered partner she'd evolved into. The plan was locked. She'd lure them in, and he'd bring the hammer down. Dusk fell on the warehouse district, a ghost town of rusted silos and crumbling concrete under a blood-orange sky. The air smelled of oil and decay, fog rolling in from the nearby river like a shroud. Jinwoo's team had chosen well isolated, with high ground for ambushes, but appearing exposed enough to tempt the triads. They believed they had the upper hand. Intel confirmed Tammy's solo transfer, a desperate move by a cornered kingpin. Tammy arrived in the van, heart slamming against her ribs, the vest heavy under her clothes. The driver, a trusted lieutenant, parked inside the cavernous main hall, engine idling. "Stay sharp," he murmured, slipping her a concealed knife. "They're coming." She nodded, stepping out into the dim light filtering through cracked skylights. Dust motes danced in the beams, shadows stretching like fingers across the floor. Feigning vulnerability, she paced nervously, as if abandoned and waiting for pickup. But inside, steel coursed through her quick thinking, honed from street smarts, ready to pivot. Minutes ticked by, then the first signs. Distant engines rumbling, footsteps echoing from the perimeter. The triads emerged like wolves, 10, maybe 12, masked and armed, led by a wiry man with a scar across his cheek. "Cheney?" "No, a lieutenant, but dangerous enough." They fanned out, guns raised, confident in their ambush. "There she is," the leader snarled in accented English, advancing with a smirk. "Bake's little secret. Come quietly and maybe we won't hurt you." "Much." Tammy backed toward a stack of crates, playing scared but eyeing escape routes. "Please, I don't know anything. Just let me go." He laughed, signaling his men to close in. "Oh, we know. You're the key to breaking him. Grab her." That's when it erupted. From the rafters, Jinwoo's voice boomed over hidden speakers. "Now!" Spotlights flared, blinding the triads as his men dropped from above, ropes snapping, boots hitting concrete. Gunfire cracked the air, chaotic and deafening. Bullets ricocheted off metal beams, shouts mixing with the metallic tang of blood. Tammy dove behind a crate as a triad lunged for her, his gun swinging. Quick thinking kicked in. She grabbed a loose pipe from the floor, swinging it hard into his knee with a sickening crack. He crumpled, and she kicked his weapon away, heart racing but mind sharp. "Jinwoo," she yelled, spotting him in the fray, tattooed arms a blur as he disarmed 2 attackers. His movements precise, lethal. The battle intensified, a whirlwind of fists, shots, and screams. Triads fired wildly, But Jinwoo's preparation shone. Law enforcement allies stormed from side entrances, vests marked with badges, shouting commands in Korean and English. "Freeze! You're surrounded!" One triad clipped Jinwoo's shoulder, drawing blood, but he powered through, tackling the man to the ground. In the melee, the leader zeroed in on Tommy, grabbing her arm in a vice. "You're coming with me!" he hissed, dragging her toward an exit. Panic flared, but Tammy's transformation fueled her. She twisted, using her free hand to jam the hidden knife into his thigh, not fatal, but enough to stagger him. "Not today." As he howled, she broke free, signaling a nearby sniper with a flare from her vest. A shot rang out non-lethal, hitting his vest and dropping him. The triads, caught off guard by the coordinated assault and Tammy's unexpected fight, faltered. Jinwoo's men and the cops closed in, cuffing survivors amid the haze of gunsmoke. Chini's lieutenant writhed on the ground, cursing as he was zip-tied. The warehouse fell into eerie quiet, broken only by labored breaths and distant sirens. Jinwoo rushed to Tommy, blood streaking his shirt, pulling her into a fierce hug. "You were brilliant," he breathed, relief and pride in his eyes. "Quick thinking saved us." She leaned into him, the adrenaline crash hitting hard but triumphant. The trap had worked, the triads reeling, captures yielding intel to dismantle more. But as law enforcement hauled away the defeated, Tammy knew this victory was just a step. The war wasn't over, and her place in it beside him had only just begun. The war wasn't over, and her place in it beside him had only just begun. But in the hazy aftermath of the warehouse showdown, as sirens faded into the night and the captured triads were hauled away in unmarked vans, the true cost began to surface, threatening to unravel everything Jinwoo had built. They returned to the penthouse under heavy guard, the city lights blurring past the tinted windows of the armored SUV. Tammy sat beside him, her hands still trembling from the adrenaline, a fresh bruise blooming on her cheek from the scuffle. Jinwoo's shoulder wound had been hastily bandaged by a field medic, blood seeping through the gauze, but his pain ran deeper. Reports trickled in via his phone, 2 of his loyal men dead in the crossfire, a sniper's bullet claiming one, a brutal knife fight the other. The triad's lieutenant was in custody, spilling secrets under interrogation, but the victory felt hollow. Chini himself had evaded the net, slipping away like smoke, and the raid had exposed cracks in Jinwoo's empire. A mole confirmed among his ranks, feeding intel that nearly cost them everything. Inside the penthouse, the opulent space now felt like a war room in disarray. Maps and screens littered the table, guards murmuring updates. Jinwoo slumped into a chair, wincing as he peeled off his shirt to redress the wound. His tattooed torso, a canvas of scars and ink, told tales of past battles. But tonight, the weight of it all haunted him. "We got some," he muttered, staring at the floor. "But not enough. Chini's out there, regrouping. And now, betrayals from within." Tommy knelt beside him, taking the bandages from his shaking hands. "Let me." Her touch was gentle, steadying, as she cleaned the gash. She'd seen the fallout, the bodies, the blood, and it shook her. But she wouldn't break. Not now, when he needed her. "Your men fought hard. We captured key players. That's a win." He met her eyes, vulnerability cracking his facade. "At what cost? My empire's crumbling, Tammy. Shipments intercepted, allies scattering like rats. The triads hit hard because of that mole someone I trusted. It's like my past sins are catching up. All the blood on my hands, the deals that built this. It's poisoning everything." She tied off the bandage, her fingers lingering on his skin. The man before her wasn't the untouchable Mafia king anymore. He was haunted, the isolation of his power a heavier burden than any wound. Tammy had become fully part of this world, transformed from accidental savior to active ally, and she wouldn't abandon him now. "Then face it," she said softly, her Jamaican resilience shining through. "You've carried this alone too long, but you're not alone anymore. I'm here, Jinwoo. We'll navigate this fall together." He reached for her hand, squeezing it with a gratitude that spoke volumes. In the days that followed, as his criminal network teetered on the brink, Tammy stood by his side through the chaos. Raids on his operations multiplied, warehouses torched, money laundering fronts shut down by rival incursions egged on by Chini's remnants. Whispers of defection spread among his lieutenants, past betrayals resurfacing like ghosts. The brother he'd lost to a double cross, the mentor gunned down in a power play. Jinwoo paced the penthouse nights, maps of his crumbling domain spread out, his face gaunt from sleepless strategy sessions. "I've built this on shadows." He'd confess to her in quiet moments, vulnerability raw. Power, but at the expense of everything real. And now it's all slipping away. Tommy listened, her presence an anchor in the storm. She'd share stories of her own scars, the family struggles back in Jamaica, the grit that got her to Seoul, reminding him that redemption wasn't impossible. Their bond deepened amid the ruin, touches turning tender, conversations laced with unspoken affection. She saw the man behind the empire, disciplined, regretful, yearning for something beyond the blood. And in standing by him, she helped him see it too. The turning point came on a rain-slashed evening, thunder rumbling over the city like an omen. Intelligence confirmed Chini's location, a fortified hideout on the outskirts, rallying what remained of the triads for a final strike. But hitting it would mean all-out war, more losses, and no guarantee of Tammy's safety. Jinwoo stood at the window, rain streaking the glass, his empire's collapse mirroring the storm outside. "I could end him," he said, voice low. "Mobilize everything, burn it all down. But the cost, more blood and you in the crosshairs." Tammy approached, placing a hand on his back. "Or there's another way. You've got those law enforcement contacts from the warehouse. Use them. Collaborate. Bring down Chini clean, without turning Seoul into a battlefield." He turned, surprise flickering. "Turn informant? After everything I've built? That's suicide. My world would brand me a traitor. But it could save us." She pressed, her eyes fierce with conviction. "Sacrifice the empire for something real, for safety, for us." The word hung, heavy with meaning. She'd come to love him, this haunted protector, and she saw the path to his redemption. Jinwoo hesitated, the weight of his past sins crashing against the possibility of a future. Betrayals had hardened him, power his only shield, but Tammy had pierced it, her bravery, her loyalty, awakening a longing for more. For her safety, he'd give it all. "All right," he said finally, pulling her close. "For you, I'll do it." The decision was dramatic, a seismic shift. He reached out to his contacts in the authorities, discreet allies who'd turned a blind eye in the past, offering full cooperation. Intel on Chini's operations, ledgers exposing the Triad's network, even his own empire's underbelly if it meant dismantling them once and for all. In exchange, protection for Tammy and a chance at leniency. It was redemption incarnate, sacrificing the throne he'd clawed to claim, the power that defined him, all for the woman who'd saved his life and now his soul. As agents arrived under cover of night to debrief, Jinwoo confessed it to her alone. "I'm giving up everything, the deals, the shadows, for your safety. Because I love you, Tommy. You showed me there's more than this life." Tears pricked her eyes, but she smiled, pulling him into an embrace. "And I love you. This is our redemption, together." The fall of his criminal empire was underway, but in its ruins, something new bloomed, a path to freedom, forged in sacrifice. Yet as plans solidified, a chilling undercurrent lingered. Peace might be fleeting, with old enemies never truly buried. The fall of his criminal empire was underway, but in its ruins, something new bloomed, a path to freedom, forged in sacrifice. Yet as plans solidified, a chilling undercurrent lingered. Old enemies never truly buried. In the weeks that followed Jinwoo's bold collaboration with the authorities, the Triad's remnants crumbled like ash. Chini was captured in a dawn raid on his hideout, his network exposed by the ledgers. Jinwoo provided names, roots, dirty deals laid bare. The Kingpin's testimony, given in a sterile interrogation room under witness protection, sealed it. Headlines whispered of a Mafia implosion. But for Jinwoo and Tammy, it was the end of one life and the dawn of another. They emerged from the shadows into a world that felt both vast and fragile. With the Triads defeated, Chini behind bars, his lieutenants scattered or arrested, Jinwoo's past was finally buried under layers of legal deals and immunity agreements. No more empires of blood. He'd surrendered it all for redemption. But freedom came at a crossroads, a hesitant pause, where old scars threatened to pull them back. "What now?" Tammy asked one evening, as they stood on the penthouse balcony for what might be the last time. The city sprawled below, no longer a battlefield but a canvas of possibilities. Jinwoo turned to her, his dark eyes softened by the setting sun. The tattoos on his neck, once symbols of power, now seemed like relics of a distant war. "Now, we build something real. No more hiding. But it's not easy letting go of who I was." She nodded, slipping her hand into his. Their love, born in chaos, was a beacon, but the scars tested it daily. Nightmares plagued them both, Tommy jolting awake from visions of bullets and smoke, the warehouse's echoes haunting her sleep. Jin-woo wrestled with ghosts of betrayal, second-guessing every shadow, his protective instincts flaring at the slightest noise. "I see enemies everywhere," he'd confess in the quiet hours, pulling her close. After all those years, trust doesn't come back overnight. And Tammy felt it too, the pull of her old life, the simplicity she'd lost. "Sometimes I miss just being the delivery girl," she'd admit, tracing the scar on her side. No empires, no targets, but that bullet changed us, tested us. Their bond wavered under the weight arguments sparked over small things, like his overprotectiveness clashing with her fierce independence. "You can't shield me from everything," she'd snap during one heated moment, storming to the window. "I'm not fragile anymore." He'd approach, regret in his eyes, wrapping his arms around her. "I know. It's habit losing you would break me." These tests forged them stronger, their love a redemptive force, healing wounds through patience and shared vulnerability. In tender reconciliations, they'd talk for hours, bridging their worlds, her Jamaican roots of resilience and family, his Korean heritage of discipline and hidden pain. Together, they learned to navigate the scars, turning them into strengths. With freedom secured, new identities, and a modest relocation fund from the authorities, Tammy dove into her new life with the fire that had transformed her. She started small but bold, a food truck in a bustling Seoul neighborhood, blending Jamaican flavors with Korean twists. Jerk bulgogi tacos, ackee stuffed mandu dishes that told her story, drawing crowds with their bold fusion. "This is me," she'd say, flipping patties over the grill, the sizzle a symphony of rebirth. Customers raved, lines forming as word spread, and for the first time, she felt in control, her hands creating joy instead of dodging danger. The truck became her anchor, a symbol of the empowered woman she'd become, no longer defined by a stray bullet but by her own choices. Jin-woo, too, channeled his discipline into legitimacy. He poured his remaining resources, clean assets salvaged from the empire's fall, into a security consulting firm, advising businesses on protection without the shadows. No more underground deals. Instead, boardrooms and contracts, using his hard-won knowledge for good. "It's strange," he'd tell Tammy over dinner at their new, unassuming apartment, a cozy space far from the penthouse's opulence. "Building without breaking. But it feels right." His days filled with meetings and strategies, a far cry from midnight raids. And though doubts lingered, old contacts whispering temptations, he pushed forward, driven by the redemption she'd inspired. Their love deepened in these everyday moments, tested but unbreakable. Picnics in hidden parks, where they'd laugh over her latest food truck mishap or his awkward client pitches. Intimate nights where scars were traced not with regret, but affection. His fingers on her bullet wound, hers on his tattoos. "You saved me more than once," he'd murmur, pulling her close. "Not just from the bullet, but from myself." Yet the past's echoes tested them. A suspicious car tailing the food truck one afternoon sent Jin-woo into alert mode, old instincts flaring. "We can't ignore it," he'd insist, checking perimeters. Tammy, feeling the suffocation return, would push back. "We're free now. Don't let fear chain us." These clashes forced growth therapy sessions, honest talks reminding them that healing was a journey, not a destination. Together, they moved forward, their shared strength turning tests into triumphs. Months in, as autumn leaves painted Seoul in gold, they stood at another crossroads, a quiet vow exchanged over a homemade meal. "To new beginnings," Tommy toasted, her eyes shining. Jin-woo clinked his glass, his smile genuine, free of shadows. "To us, whatever comes." The love they shared, forged in fire and tempered by scars, propelled them into this new chapter. Free at last, they built not on power, but on each other, two souls from worlds apart, united in redemption. But even in peace, a faint chill lingered, a reminder that some shadows never fully fade. But even in peace, a faint chill lingered, a reminder that some shadows never fully fade. Months slipped by in their new rhythm, a fragile harmony built on fresh starts and quiet joys. Tommy's food truck thrived, its vibrant awning a beacon in Seoul's bustling markets, where the sizzle of fusion dishes drew smiles and stories from strangers. Jin-woo's consulting firm grew steadily, his days filled with legitimate strategies rather than shadowed deals. They laughed more, loved deeper stolen weekends in the countryside, where the air was clean and the past felt distant. Yet, in unguarded moments, Tammy would catch him scanning crowds, his hand instinctively hovering near where a gun once hid. "Old habits," he'd say with a wry smile, pulling her close. Their scars had healed into stories, but the Mafia world's grip, they believed, had finally loosened. That illusion shattered on a crisp winter morning, 6 months into their rebirth. Tammy was prepping the truck for the lunch rush, chopping fresh herbs, the scent of jerk spices mingling with kimchi when Jinwoo's phone buzzed on the counter. He glanced at it casually, then froze, his face draining of color. "Tammy," he said, voice low and edged with steel. "Get inside. Now." She wiped her hands, alarm prickling her skin. "What is it?" He showed her the screen anonymous text, time-stamped minutes ago. "You thought you buried me, Bake, but empires rise from graves. The Jamaican pays first. Chini." Attached was a photo, their apartment building, snapped from across the street that very morning, with a red circle around Tammy's food truck in the background. Her stomach dropped, the world tilting. "Chini? But we thought he was locked up. Or dead." Jinwoo's jaw tightened, his dark eyes scanning the street outside like a predator sensing the hunt. Escaped, maybe. Or a ghost network. Doesn't matter, he's back. Instincts long dormant roared to life. The man who'd once commanded Soul's shadows slipped seamlessly into action. He pulled her into the truck's tiny office space, locking the door and drawing the blinds. "We prepare. Now." Tammy's heart raced. But the fire that had transformed her burned bright, no panic, only resolve. "How? We left that life." He was already dialing contacts, his voice clipped and commanding. "We did, but it didn't leave us." Within minutes, he'd mobilized. Old allies alerted discreetly, security cams hacked for real-time feeds, a safe house prepped on the city's edge. His protective instincts surged, unyielding as ever, scanning perimeters, arming himself with a concealed pistol from a hidden safe. "He thinks you're my weakness," Jinwoo said, checking the clip with practiced efficiency. "But you're my strength. We end this together." The message's chill seeped into their day, a final twist revealing the Mafia world's tenacious hold. Even after betrayals, battles, and redemption, it never truly let go, tendrils reaching from the grave to drag them back. Whispers from Jinwoo's network confirmed it. Chini had faked his death in prison, bribing guards and rallying die-hard loyalists for vengeance. The photo was no bluff. Scouts had been spotted, shadows closing in. "He's coming for you to break me," Jinwoo explained, pulling up maps on his laptop. "But we'll turn it, lure him out like before." Tammy nodded, her empowered spirit rising to meet the threat. She wasn't the frightened delivery girl anymore. She was his partner, forged in fire. "Then let's plan. I'm not running. We face this head-on." They huddled over the screen, her quick mind spotting vulnerabilities in Chini's likely approach, using her truck as bait, perhaps staging an attack during peak hours. Jinwoo's reluctance flickered. He wanted her hidden, safe, but he saw her strength, the woman who'd taken a bullet and emerged unbreakable. "All right," he conceded, squeezing her hand. "But at the first sign of real danger, you get clear. I protect what's mine." As dusk fell, the confrontation loomed. Jinwoo's instincts guided them to a neutral ground, an abandoned lot near the river, leaked as a meeting point through back channels to draw Chini out. They arrived under cover of night, the air thick with fog and tension. Tommy stood by his side, no longer in the shadows but shoulder to shoulder, her presence a testament to their shared journey. "Whatever happens," she whispered, "we've already won. Us." He kissed her forehead, fierce and tender. "For you, I'd burn it all again." The enemies emerged like specters, Chini at the fore, gaunt and vengeful, flanked by a handful of armed remnants. His scar-twisted face sneered in the dim light. "Bake, you turned rat, sacrificed your throne. For her?" He leveled a gun at Tammy, eyes gleaming with malice. "Pathetic. Hand her over, and maybe I let you live." Jinwoo stepped forward, shielding her instinctively, his voice a low growl. "You should have stayed buried, Chini. This ends tonight." But it was Tommy who spoke next, her voice steady and defiant. "I'm no prize. You want me? Come get me." The standoff ignited, shots cracking the night as Chini's men advanced. Jinwoo moved like a storm, disarming one with a swift tackle, his protective fury unleashed. Tommy, quick and resourceful, grabbed a discarded pipe, swinging it to fend off an attacker lunging for her. Chaos reigned, bullets pinging off rusted metal, shouts echoing over the water. Jinwoo took a graze to the arm, blood blooming, but he powered through, tackling Chini to the ground in a brutal grapple. "For every life you threatened," he snarled, pinning him. "This is payback." Authorities tipped off by Jinwoo swarmed in, lights flashing as they cuffed the remnants. Chini spat curses, defeated once more, but his glare at Tommy promised endless vendettas. "The world never forgets," he hissed as he was dragged away. Panting, wounded but alive, Jinwoo pulled Tammy into his arms amid the flashing lights. "It's over," he murmured, though doubt lingered in his eyes. The Mafia's grasp had revealed itself unyielding, pulling them back one last time. But with her by his side, facing the ghosts together, he showed that while he'd walked away from crime, his love-fueled protection remained fierce as ever. As they drove into the dawn, hand in hand, Tammy leaned against him. "Whatever comes next, we handle it. Together, shadows might linger, but their bond forged in bullets and rebirth would endure." And there you have it, the unbreakable bond that turns bullets into beginnings. If this story of love, loyalty, and rebirth hit home, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. My friends bet I couldn't reach 1,000 subs help me crush that goal and prove 'em wrong. Comment Team Tammy and Jinwoo below. And hey, click that next video popping up on your screen for another thrilling ride. See you there.